Hello, Night Nation. I'm Trey Struggle along with Adam Eaton. Welcome into Sons of UCF Live. We thank you for being with us for this hour-long conversation. Adam, hello.
Hi, Trace. How are you? A fantastic Thursday, bowl prep, transfer portal, recruiting season. There's plenty of stuff and basketball. Plenty of stuff on the plate tonight.
There is plenty of stuff. How's your week been so far?
It's interesting. It's transfer portal week. We all have to get used to what this week looks like. So I spent a lot of time refreshing my Twitter feed, checking DMs, and making sure I'm not missing anything. But a good respite, obviously, from actual games, but the off field stuff just as stressful.
Do you enjoy this? Have you embraced it? Have you gotten your arms around that this is what it is for the moment?
I wouldn't use the word embrace. I would use the word accept. I think last year when the transfer portal came out, I was more emotionally uh, upset about guys leaving, and after seeing how it played out this year, I'm more sort of just like resigned to the fact it's going to happen. So I think more accepting is probably where I'm at with it. I don't love it. I don't love seeing guys that we rooted for so long, move on and go to other opportunities, rightfully so, by the way. But I don't love seeing that, but I think I've accepted it now as we're kind of in year two. It's not as shocking as it was last year when you saw some of the big name guys decide to leave UCF.
Yeah, I'm still struggling to get my arms around it. Watching professional sports, that's part of the rhythm of it. Free agency and who's going to be back, and following baseball, hot stove league, and I'm still getting my arms around this in terms of UCF. But portal been busy since opening. A couple of names in there this Thursday. Wide receiver Amari Johnson, not a lot of playing time at UCF. Linebacker Isaiah Paul as well. Most notable name, though, I'd say so far is Corey Thornton. And if that is the most notable name to go into the portal, I think UCF has done pretty well for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. Like, you want to cross your fingers and be cautiously optimistic that UCF's in a good spot here, but there's still plenty of time. I mean, there's still, well, let me do the math here, 23 or 24 days left in
It's a
this month.
long time.
And it's a long time to come. And let me remind everybody, it was post-Christmas last year. I want to say it was like December 28th or 29th when Matt Lee went in the portal, right? And we thought this was all behind us. So long road ahead. But as we are now, cautiously optimistic at what UCF's been able to retain. Obviously, Corey Thornton is a tough loss. He was, the best cornerback UCF had this past season. Jordan McDonald, I think, is a tough loss, although we didn't see him a lot on the field. I think you saw the potential he had there. So, and look, listen, any of these guys is tough, right? Because they become family. They become part of our fabric. Amari Johnson, battled a lot of injuries and didn't get a ton of time in the field, but I feel like he's somebody that we've all rooted for and all, sort of pulled forward in his UCF career. So it's tough losing any of these individuals, but long way to go, man. Long way to go. We're again 24 days left of this entire process. But if this is where we are, it's not as bad as you would think. Plus, the names you're hearing that UCF's in the mix for, that's the part where it gets exciting, is you get to play a little bit of like, what if we sign this guy? What if this person comes to UCF? So there's a tad of an excited element, but long way to go, my friends. A lot of things have to happen. A lot of things have to kind of fall in place between now and the end of the month.
With some graduation losses along the offensive line. Anyway, it was good to see Adrian Medley announce that he was returning. By the way, that's the rhythm of this, right? Announce you're into the portal, announce you're staying, anything to throw up that card. But he's a good one to have back.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I hope we see a lot more of those. I'm coming back graphics, right? He finally got some time in the field this season with the revolving door and the offensive line, and he played well. But hopefully, we see a lot more of those, graphics or whatnot. But I think we're all waiting on three guys right now, Trace. Right? We're all waiting to hear what happens with RJ Harvey, Javon Baker, Kobe Hudson. I think that'll really help us understand what the season looks like. If you keep 100% of those guys, huge win for UCF. You keep 66%, still a pretty good win. If you keep 33%, actually, probably not bad. 0%, it would be a disaster. So I think we're all kind of waiting on what that looks like for UCF, and will those three guys come back and play? I think that'll obviously help a lot to understand what the next season will look like.
Yeah, who comes back and the domino effect on the decision that those people make on other players on the roster. So a lot of management going on during the media availability with Coach Malzahn, the first since the announcement that UCF is playing in the Gasparilla Bowl. His last question of the day, and I referenced something he had talked about a moment earlier about having resources to play in this portal game.
Yeah, obviously a huge interesting comment by him, right? It was kind of a throwaway. While sucking down a bottle of Aquafina water, he kind of choked out. We're still working on that. We're still working on that. And Look, I think that's probably one of the more honest things Gus has said. Not that he lies to us, but he's pretty guarded with his commentary. That was probably one of the more honest things that Gus said throughout his time here is, hey, we need to have those resources available. We need to be competitive, right? And him kind of lending voice to that, although quickly and a little maybe sternly, perhaps. It was a really telling conversation, a really, really interesting way for him to end that presser.
Yeah, and then he told me where I could go
He did.
to find the kingdom information.
Has he told you where to go before, Trace?
He directed me.
Okay. Okay.
I look at these resources now as hold on to the guys you want on the roster, right? And then you have that early signing day coming up. So there's that resource direction, and then who you can find with what you have left in the portal.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to do the baseball analogy, right? But where UCF's at, we're kind of in that Moneyball phase, right? We're not going to be able to go toe to toe with some of the bigger, brands in college football, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, right? We're not going to go toe to toe and outbid those schools for players. So you got to play a little in the margins. You got to do a little bit of Moneyball, but you do need to have the resources when the time is there to have resources, right? There's a lot of speculation on the internet. On3 was first with it, and then I know a bunch of reporters, Brandon and Stephen Leonard and Chris Boyle, are all confirming that Grayson McCall will be on campus this weekend. He's a player that you would think he fits UCF scheme pretty well based on the film at Coastal. That's an opportunity to, this is the time to maybe open up the coffers a little bit to try to get for a player. But it's all a new era of football. I think Gus is adjusting. I think the biggest thing you saw to Gus, frankly, Trace, when I saw it, and I'm not saying it's just Gus and a lot of college coaches, I sense frustration. Like Gus says it all the time. I'm an old school coach. I'm a high school coach. I came up coaching, right? He just wants to watch film, block up the outside sweep and make sure that he's got enough players on the line for the jet sweep, right? I don't think any coach wants to deal with some of this stuff too. So you could sense some frustration in some of his commentary as well. But it's a new day and age, man. It's a new day and age, and I think we're all getting used to it. And some people have embraced it, some people are still fighting it, but the reality is that's where we are right now.
And when you have a 6-6 bowl, that means you're playing December 22nd, early signing day, a couple days before that. All of this portal stuff going on right now. Knights will begin preparation for Georgia Tech opening practice on Friday. That is one of the things Coach Malzahn talked about on Tuesday, how UCF is preparing.
We played very well 2 years ago in this bowl. We're using really the same script as far as practice, and the biggest difference 2 years ago is the portal, but it's recruiting. So we're going to stay with that same script. I believe we're going to start practice on Friday. We'll practice Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll give them a few days off. We'll come back Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then we'll go ahead and get in our bowl prep after that.
Very few people can pull off the Sunday, right? Like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I can't pull that off. Can you?
Knights getting in 11 practices instead of the full allotment of 15 because of the earlier date of this one. And already UCF has sold out its ticket allotment. Now that stadium, the Knights have fared fairly well in over the last several seasons, hold 65,000. I'm sure they'd be happy with 30 plus for that game. It seems like it's going to be a big UCF crowd. So Knights begin practice on Friday, and they'll keep working the portal. And before we know it, we're less than 2 weeks away from early signing day. So also busy preparing for a bowl is a UCF Athletics Hall of Famer, a return guest with the Sons of UCF. He is Alan Gooch. He is the CEO of the Cure Bowl being played now, Coach, on campus at UCF. Welcome back into Sons of UCF Live. Don't have us. Don't have audio? Oh, well, we don't. We've got Coach, but we don't have audio.
We don't, no.
All right, we may have to throw you back in the green room and see what we can figure out, Coach, who's joining us from the road.
Yeah, let's put Coach in the green room there. Let me see if I can help out there, Trace. If you want to filibuster for us,
I will.
Thank you.
I will while you try and figure that out. That's the beauty of the live show, Adam. The matchup for the Cure Bowl, which the Cure Bowl folks have been good enough to give us 5 pair of tickets that we're going to be giving out. We're going to talk a little bit more about that and how you can win those tickets. The game coming up on Saturday, December 16th. And it's moved now. It's on campus at the Bounce House. It's a high noon start, be on ABC, featuring Appalachian State and Miami of Ohio. So pretty good matchup. And the unique thing in this one is that the Cure Bowl, money's raised from this. More than $3.5 million so far support cancer research through the Best Breast Cancer Research Foundation. So it's a bowl game that has funds raised for a good cause, and that has been, part of the mission for this bowl game since its inception. It's bounced around a little bit. It's played in a couple of different stadiums, but nice for UCF to be able to host that game just a little more than a week away. And we're going to be giving away tickets courtesy of the Cure Bowl, and planning on having our guy who covers men's basketball, Andrew Cherico, be in the press box for that one and cover the game and bring us a little more that it's now on the UCF campus. What's the word? What do you got? Still dealing?
I don't know. Let's find out here. I don't know if anything's changed. Coach, anything changed?
We're going to be dealing with mimes.
Can you hear us? Was that your email that went off, Trace? You want to check that, or was that
maybe my email?
Was that Coach's email? Yeah, Coach. There's an audio. If you go to the settings, that's a little wheel on the bottom there. There's an audio button there, and you have like a speaker icon. Maybe the wrong speaker is connected. But while Coach looks at that, Trace, I do think that's important to mention. I think a lot of these bowls, we think about the bowls and the matchups, but there are charitable endeavors behind a lot of these bowls. And I think there's a lot of us out there where cancer has touched our lives or our families' lives. And so it's cool to see these opportunities and the chances that these bowls have to do some good for philanthropic efforts. And I know it's a lot of fun, and we make fun of some of the titles and the names and the matchups, but I do think it's important to make sure that we don't lose sight that there are important causes behind this. I know my life's been affected by cancer with some of my family too. So this is one that's certainly important, and to have it on our home turf with one of our own and Coach Gooch here, it's really cool. And hopefully our tickets that we get to give away will go to a good cause, and people will enjoy those and have a good time and enjoy the game, because I do think it's a sneaky good matchup. I know the MAC.
Yeah, it is a good matchup.
The MAC's the MAC. I get it, but it's a sneaky good matchup.
Yeah. Maybe Coach can log out and dial us up on his phone. Maybe click that link on your phone would be a way we could get you. He's reaching.
Let's see. All right.
He's reaching into his, and then click that link, Coach, on the phone. I like that.
Yeah, I love. Yes, Robert. Tech support is here to. Please press 1 if your issue is your email. Press 2 if your password needs to be completed. People want to know, Trace, what that email is about. I don't know if you can share.
I don't. That's the icon for the work email, and I don't really want to look at that.
Right. No, it's fair. No, it's fair. It was a loud email chain at that point as well.
Didn't realize I still had the work email. $1.2 million of the funds that have been generated for the cancer research have benefited UCF's College of Medicine's Cancer Research Center. Dr. Annette Khalid, who has been a long time associated with this bowl game. So money staying locally as well for cancer research. And again, I really like the fact that it's on the campus. We've talked so long about, I like that Coach Gooch is calling me now. Shall we take the call? Let's
hold on. He's back on screen here.
You got him,
Coach. Can you hear us? You can hear us. I got a lot of thumb. He's knocking on the door.
Hit the StreamYard link on your phone. Click the link on your phone. Log out of this and then look at your phone.
Use your phone versus your computer. Is that the sign for computer?
Are there Emmy awards for podcasts? Because
not
we
likely.
May not.
If there are,
we may not submit this one.
We might want to, Trace, because I do think this is good theater for us to have a legendary figure in Coach Gooch here in front of us. Somebody who has done a lot of good.
Click the link I sent you. Click it on your phone instead of on your computer.
Yeah, so
And then we'll see you.
open your email on your phone, Coach, and click that link, and you should be able to connect that way. I assume Trace emailed you. Is that how you guys
I
communicate?
emailed him the link.
Emails
Yes.
are good. Okay, maybe that's the email that just got sent, Trace. You should check your sent file more often here. Is this riveting for everybody else other than me? Let's see. Text him the link. Robert with a great suggestion. Text him the link. We got $100 if Trace curses at Coach Gooch.
No, love Coach. Love.
Well,
Coach.
It's for charity. It's for the charity.
We want to do our part to get the word out.
This is the only 1 hour show. Yes, Brian, it is an hour show. Yeah.
Find the link.
Here's the thing: is Coach is talking like a lot, and I really wish I knew what he was saying because I'm sure it's important.
All right, mute me, and I'm going to talk to Coach.
All right, everyone's getting muted here. It's just your boy here. We're gonna take you here. Trace is now muted. Talking to Coach here. We're watching this live. I'll see if I can narrate this here. This is Trace, tech support. There's a lot of laughing going on. I don't know what that hand gesture means. The chin scratch can't be good. I'm watching two people look at their phones. Yes, you are. That's important. I don't know when Trace wants to be unmuted. He's gonna have to give me some sort of signal out there. Lip reading, yeah. If someone can lip read this, how many nights does it take to run a podcast? I don't know, Brian. You've been in a few. Maybe you can tell us. Oh, just kidding. That's not nice. That's not nice. We'll do it live, Mario. That is correct here. How many of you guys are going to the game, by the way, in the chat session? How many of you are heading to the game? Obviously, UCF selling an allotment out. It's pretty big. I mean, it's not the best matchup. Who's going to the game? Who's in the chat that's going to be there? Let me see. Let me get a roll call here. This is why you want another pot, Brian. I wouldn't poke the bear, Brian. You're on shaky ground as it is, Brian. Shaky ground, Brian.
All right. I have texted him the link, but now he's got to get off of his computer. He's going to have to lose it. Get out of the computer.
Okay. Well, yeah, Patrick, you're not wrong. We are in engineering school.
Hey, but in fairness, not an engineering major.
That's right, Matt Dolan. That is a great point. We only have one like on this so far. This is unfortunate. Matt J will be at the bowl game. Lauren and Pop.
What's our means of giving away tickets? We bantered about this a little bit. We've got the 5 pair of tickets. I already have them in my my online account.
All right, hold on a second. Coach Gooch, we got you
in the house. All right,
in the house.
We have Coach. Welcome back to Sons of UCF Live.
Awesome.
Oh. I was going to ask you off the top, and let me do this. You traveled to a lot of these Big 12 road games with UCF this year. What was your favorite atmosphere that you saw the Knights play on the road?
I thought that Oklahoma was pretty strong. I thought, Kansas State was good as well. I thought those were probably the strongest. It seems like a lot of tradition in both of those schools. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the big matchup.
I will say Texas Tech wasn't bad either, and they have a captured off audience in Lubbock, and so everybody comes out. That's for sure.
That was a nice way of saying there may not be a lot to do in Lubbock. Let's talk about your matchup first. We talked about it earlier. Back in Orlando on campus at UCF. That's a nice change for this ball.
It is. We got the guys, and I want to tell you, Trace, Andrew, really appreciate everything that you guys do for UCF. Wearing my UCF hat, of course, and then certainly my Orlando Sports Foundation Cure Bowl hat. Really appreciate everything that you guys do there as well. Helping us means a lot to many. And back on campus gives us that opportunity to get in front of Night Nation and remind them. I believe people know, or maybe on the fringe, but the Cure Bowl donates directly to the UCF College of Medicine's Cancer Research Center, and we've been able to do that. We've raised $4.1 million that's gone to researchers around the country and internationally through BCRF, but we have directly donated $1.6 million to the UCF College of Medicine's Cancer Research Center, and we are now, since 2015, the largest private donor to the UCF College of Medicine's cancer research, and very proud of that. But it takes guys like yourself helping us get the word out, and people buying tickets to the Cure Bowl. So being at UCF gives us the opportunity to get in front of Night Nation and remind them of what the Cure Bowl does. It has been a great game. The last few years have been outstanding with our partnership with ESPN, but the game is a fundraiser. Our mission is to bring teams together to find a cure for cancer, and we're doing that through the Cure Bowl. So we need everybody to come out there on December 16th at 3:30 at FBC Mortgage Stadium.
Coach, take us behind the scenes a little bit on Selection Sunday, I guess we'll call it. Obviously, a lot of things got turned upside down when the Florida State Alabama thing kind of went down. How did that impact kind of your bowl? And can you take us behind the scenes a little bit on what was happening in terms of figuring out matchups?
Yeah, it impacted a lot of the ACC lineups from a projection standpoint. So even after the 6 week, all the executive directors in the country get an internal tracking analysis document from Bowl Season Incorporated, which is the old Football Bowl Association. We're still an association. It's just called Bowl Season now, but we have a tracking and all of the bowls, all of the conference commissioners, all of the television partners. They're able to start projecting where you think teams are going to go even after the 6 week, and you just continue to track that through the Selection Sunday and the reveal. So obviously, there was some things penciled in that had to be changed after the CFP. So that does affect everybody in some regard. For us, actually, the big change for us was Liberty going to the CFP. We were tracking to have Liberty in the game, in the Cure Bowl, and it would have been outstanding to have an undefeated Liberty. I'm certainly very happy for them. We've had them in the Cure Bowl before, as you guys know. They're an outstanding program in every way, and obviously are doing a great job. So the fact that the Cure Bowl was right there, going to get a possible program and a bowl eligible team that's going to the New Year's Six, is showing it's shown everybody how the Cure Bowl brand is continue to grow. So yeah, it had a little bit of an impact. Our game and our partnership through ESPN, we've been able to get top 25 matchups, as you guys know, the last 3 years. This is the fourth year where we were also getting a conference champion and a division champion within a conference. Last year, we were, out of all the bowls, we had the only bowl that had two conference champions matched up in the bowl. So it's been a great partnership with the ESPN events. We certainly appreciate it, and we feel like we've got another strong one. Miami University is a strong football team, and so is App State, and App State's got a great brand. You guys are probably aware of the fact that they were in College Game Day last year at their place, and won the game. And then this year they were at JMU, and College Game Day was there at James Madison, and App State stole the show by beating them in overtime. So we've got a strong App State football program and a great brand, and we have Miami University as the conference champion of the MAC.
Coach, obviously we're a UCF-centric show. I think a lot of fans out there were wondering, was there ever a chance that UCF could play a home game in the Cure Bowl? I don't know what you can reveal here, but was UCF a potential? Was it ever in the conversation for them to play in the Cure Bowl?
Well, I'm not ashamed to say that I was lobbying hard for UCF in South Florida, on campus there, having the war on I-4 and the Cure Bowl. We felt like would have been great, but our job and my job is to raise money for cancer research. And so, when we make our recommendation to ESPN and to conference partners and athletic directors, I'm looking at the bottom line. And so that game would have sold a lot of tickets and would have had some interest, I think. But it's not a fit for everybody, and we understand and we get that. Conference agreements, a lot of people, from what we see out there on bowl projections, you just kind of shake your head. There's so many different projections out there, but obviously they don't know or don't read or understand the conferences and the agreements that they have for bowls and their bowl partners. So, there are some bowls that are just never going to have a Mountain West opponent, but you see it stuck in from time to time. Now, certainly if there's not enough bowl eligible teams, you'll see some things change, but I was lobbying for that game. That's for sure.
Teams arrive next week. What's the fun activities that they'll be doing in Orlando when they get to town?
Yeah, great question. We've had a great partnership with Universal Studios and the teams that will check in. We'll have a welcome event right there at City Walk in Universal on Tuesday, and they'll go to practice right there close to property. We practice at Dr. Phillips, and you throw a baseball from Universal Studios right at Dr. Phillips practice area. So we try to keep it real player and coach friendly, and having everybody being able to get around and not spend a whole lot of time on a bus, for example. So once they get back from practice, then they have an opportunity to go to the park. And Universal Studios has been an outstanding partner and always offers a free park ticket for the players, the band, and the spirit coordinator groups. So it's really a great time. And then SeaWorld offers them an opportunity for a park ticket as well, as long as the bands will perform out there at SeaWorld. So there's a lot to do for those teams. Orlando is the #1 theme park destination on the planet. And, the teams are very happy to be here, and we're happy to host them.
Remind folks where they can get tickets for the Cure Bowl matchup.
Yeah, curebowl.com. It doesn't get any easier than that. But get there, and there's a lot of opportunity for different levels of ticket. You could get a $35 end zone, a $50 sideline, or a $150 club ticket that gets you food and beverage included in your ticket price. So we've got a lot of options, as well as cabanas on the field, and obviously the suites in Roth Tower.
It's going to be nice to see another game of the bounce house for sure.
Yeah.
Coach, before I let you go, I gotta ask. There's a new phenomenon of late where the sponsor of the bowl and their product type helps to define maybe what gets thrown on the coach. It's the Avocados by Mexico Bowl. Any chance we get a guacamole bath? Can I get can I get a guacamole bath on the winning head coach?
Yeah, there was certainly talk about that. A lot of different opportunities. There's no doubt about it. Yep. But we're happy to have avocados from Mexico. We have the Orange Bowl in Miami, and we have the avocados from Mexico and Orlando. It's a great matchup.
And what do you think of that UCF matchup against Georgia Tech over in Tampa?
I like it. It's obviously we've played Georgia Tech a few times, and I think it'll be a good game. Obviously I think a lot of UCF people. I've been hearing a lot of people going to the game. We obviously have a lot of alums that live in the Hillsborough, Pinellas County area, so I think there's going to be a good attendance for that. Scott Glazer, who's the executive director of the Gasparilla Bowl, is a good buddy, and he was glad to have our Knights there. I will be there for sure to watch that. And you guys need to get Billy Stewart on. Billy Stewart, who is a son of UCF, played linebacker for us back in the day. He's a defensive analyst on the Georgia Tech staff. He would be a good interview for you guys. I would see, and if you don't need his cell phone number, I can get it to you. But Billy won a state championship in Atlanta, Georgia, as a high school coach there. Coached for a while, obviously, and was a GA on our staff, and then coached in Florida, and then moved to Georgia and won a state championship. Now he's on the Georgia Tech staff.
It texted or mime it, just to make the hand gestures. Alan Gooch, UCF Athletics Hall of Famer, CEO of the Cure Bowl. Great matchup coming up on Saturday, December 16th, 3:30 in the Bounce House. Coach, thanks for being with us.
Guys, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Coach. Again, giving away 5 pair of tickets. How are we doing that? That's what I asked before we were able to get them back on. What's going to do it online? We'll announce it on social media.
Yeah, I think so. What I'd love to learn, and bowl season's so unique for a lot of us out there, right? Because sometimes you travel, and UCF's had an interesting bowl history. So, what we'd love to hear, you can tweet at us, and maybe I'll put a tweet out there at Sons of UCF. We'd love to hear your bowl memories. What's your favorite bowl memory? Maybe going to a game, hang out with your friends, your family. I know that the Peach Bowl is obviously spectacular, but some folks out there went to Hawaii, went to the first Liberty Bowl. So what are your favorite bowl memories? Tweet at Trace and myself, and we'll read through those. And the 5 that really kind of grab us, we will contact you, and you may be the big winner of tickets to the Cure Bowl. So let's celebrate the fun times we've had for bowl season. I know sometimes it can be, it depends on where you are in your life, but I think bowl season could be a lot of fun for people. So what are your favorite bowl memories? That's what we want to hear.
I'd like to hear from some people who were in Hawaii. I don't know that I've ever talked to anybody that was at the Hawaii Bowl. We all have memories of watching that game, but I don't know if I've talked to anybody that's been there. somebody DM us, let us know. We'll give away throughout the week. We'll let you know before we go live again next week so that you can plan your Saturday appropriately. Before we talk a little men's basketball, let's go around the Big 12 with Jeff Allen.
Texas will flee the Big 12 as conference champions after they throttled Oklahoma State in the title game in convincing fashion, 49-21. The victory also propels the Longhorns into the controversy-free college football playoff. They will play in a semifinal game Monday, January 1st at the All-State Sugar Bowl in New Orleans as they take on number 2 Washington, 8:45 on ESPN. 8 other Big 12 teams will be going bowling on Friday, December 22nd in the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl in Tampa. UCF in their second home stadium takes on Georgia Tech, 6:30 on ESPN. Tuesday, December 26th at the Guaranteed Rate Bowl in Phoenix, Arizona, Kansas versus UNLV, 9 o'clock on ESPN. Wednesday, December 27th, the Duke's Mayo Bowl in Charlotte has West Virginia taking on North Carolina. That's at 5:30 on ESPN. The Tax Act Texas Bowl in Houston has number 20 Oklahoma State taking on Texas A&M, 9 o'clock on ESPN. Thursday, December 28th, the Pop-Tarts Bowl here in Orlando has number 25 Kansas State taking on number 18 NC State, 5:45 on ESPN. The Valero Alamo Bowl in San Antonio has number 12 Oklahoma versus number 14 Arizona, 9:15 on ESPN. And Friday, December 29th, the AutoZone Liberty Bowl in Memphis has the Tigers hosting Iowa State, 2:30 on ESPN. In other football-related news, Houston has tagged Tulane's Willie Fritz to be their new head coach as they head into their second Big 12 season. He piloted the Green Wave to a New Year's 6 victory over USC a year ago. In women's soccer, BYU made it to the semifinals of the College Cup. They were defeated by Stanford 2-0. In volleyball, 7 Big 12 teams made the NCAA tournament. Baylor, Iowa State, Kansas, TCU, Houston, BYU, and Texas. Only the 5th-ranked Longhorns remain as they advance to their 18th straight regional semifinal when they face number 11 Tennessee Friday night at 8 o'clock on ESPN2. With your Big 12 minutes, I'm Jeff Allen.
18 straight. Jeez, that is impressive.
That's impressive that Jeff rattled all that off in 2 minutes. I don't think I could do that in 40 minutes, although in 2 minutes.
There's a quiz on all those bowl sponsorship names.
We got problems.
Right?
We got problems.
Let's shift gears from football to men's basketball. Knights decisively over Jacksonville, 94-52 to move to 6-2. Theorno Silla, 20 points, 11 rebounds. Gets a little bit harder on Sunday when undefeated Ole Miss comes to the arena. Let's talk a little hoops with Ben Hazel, former UCF development coach, who rejoins us on Sons of UCF Live. Ben, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be back, especially after that win. I'm excited.
Yeah, before we talk basketball, Adam, UCF Mike is in charge of HR. Ben's not been with us the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
He's got a PTO request into us. I want to see if you accept the reason. New addition to the family. I think we got to approve that.
Excused
reason,
absence.
right?
Yeah, excused absence. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Ben.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been an exciting weekend. My daughter was born on Friday, December 1st. Everybody's healthy and happy, so all good things on this side. And then the Knights got a win the other day, so I'm all smiles over here.
Well, congratulations, and we're glad you could carve out a little time to spend with us tonight. How about Theorno Silla? 20 points, 11 rebounds. Who saw that coming?
I mean, he showed flashes that he can do some things on the court, but nobody saw it the way that he did it. I mean, first double-double of his career. He seemed really poised, seemed really calm. I mean, first time you really have seen him kind of go to the basket and couple that with making some shots. So, I was very impressed with his performance and just really happy for him. He's been fighting really hard for this chance. So, and wants it really bad. So I was just happy it kind of came together. So hopefully we can get somebody who can give us 2 games in a row of a really good performance. That's the thing we're missing.
Ben, I'll give you credit. You were on with us before the season started and told us about Marcellus Avery, and you loved his game. He didn't get a chance to play the first couple of games due to NCAA stuff, but since he's been with the Knights, what has he brought to the team? What have you seen in his game? And I feel like he's really helped provide a spark for UCF on the offensive end.
His maturity shows. I mean, his maturity shows and his ability to shoot the ball is something that we really need. I mean, being a 6'7" guy that can stretch the floor, but can really defend, rebound, is athletic, can screen, roll, meet you at the rim. So he's a guy that brings that versatility that we really were looking for. And, he hit the ground running. And I think that's just a testament to him being an older guy, been around the block, and he just kind of knew what to expect, just waited for his chance and is taking advantage of it.
Talk a little bit too also about Ibrahima Diallo and sort of the impact he's had. He's a large human being on the inside, right? He's obviously not the most prolific offensive player, but he's a disruptor on both ends of the floor. Talk about what he's provided to UCF as well.
He's provided just pure energy. I mean, when you have a guy that size that's going after every shot, going after rebounds, just is really active, it's something that's contagious. So I think the guards, when you got a big guy behind you that's willing to kind of come over and can erase some shots. I mean, we had Taco Fall. I talk to BJ all the time, like, you guys were one of the top teams defensively in the country, but that wasn't because you were playing good defense. And he just always said, hey, I just funneled him to Taco. Like, how are you going to tell me that's bad defense? And, I think that's what he brings to this team. Like, guards can have that trust. Like, I can pressure guys. If he gets a little edge, I do got some cleanup behind me.
6-2 at this point. The loss at Miami, I don't know if you looked at that schedule ahead of the season, you'd say, that's a place they could drop a game. It's that Stetson game that really just gnaws at you, doesn't it? Where do you assess this team after 8 games? Is it where you thought it would be?
They actually are. I mean, the one thing with the Stetson game, I tried not to get too down about it, really, just because there's a lot of basketball.
You're the only one.
There's a lot of basketball to play, and they played well. Like, they made shots. I mean, you look down the stretch, it was like these dudes literally had 4 or 5 guys shooting their first points and making both free throws down the stretch. It was
they
like
they didn't miss anything
on the road. Like, that's just something you typically don't see, where they make every single one. So, hats off to them. Like, they played well. It wasn't something that we really wanted. We didn't take away the things that we needed to. But that's kind of why I was happy with the Jacksonville bounce back. I mean, one thing with Coach Dawkins is they're going to get better. He does not rest and always wants to see progress until the end of the season. And I think we saw that. So I was happy with the bounce back. I mean, really, I'm just looking for some guys, which Ole Miss will be a great time to do so, for somebody to string a game of good games together that's not named Jalen.
You mentioned Ole Miss. Let's hear from Coach Dawkins. I asked him after the game about this step up in competition going from Jacksonville to Ole Miss.
Good benchmark game, though, considering Big 12 plays just around the corner?
Absolutely. I think so. I think it's a great game for us to play it. A team that's, SEC team. I mean, a team that, like I said, has having a really good season thus far. And so, yes, it's been a great test for us. And so, but that's what you want to be in. You want to be in games that are going to push you, going to, see where we are, and we'll learn a lot about ourselves, and that's a good thing.
Knights got back to Mar Langford in this game against Jacksonville, and Coach indicated at the end of the presser, Antoine Jones is finally going to make an appearance for the Knights. He's cleared now to see action on Sunday.
Yeah, that's something to be excited about. Another big body that can kind of, mix it up. I mean, I wonder if he'll get a chance against Ole Miss. I mean, these are the games where we might need them just because of what they're bringing to the table. They're a guard-heavy team with a few different ways to attack you, especially at the wing position. So having another, 6'7" wing that's pretty skilled inside and out, and there's a pretty strong body. I mean, it's something that I think we will see. I don't know about this upcoming game, but this is definitely a test. I mean, I feel like whenever I see Coach Dawkins speak about games like this, you see a little bit of his inner old player side come out. He's like, yeah, damn right we're hyped about it. Like, let's get after it. Yes, it's a measuring stick. And yes, that's why we scheduled it this way. They're good, and we think we're good too. So we're going to show up.
Ben, obviously a lot of new faces on this team, but Nils Mahosky and Metodas Moskus, obviously their first
kudos to you, Adam, for taking on both of those names right there.
I figured if I got them wrong, you would know anyway. But they're obviously making a transition coming from playing primarily in Europe to the U.S. and playing in college ball. How tough a transition is that, Ben? I know we've seen Nils a little bit. I think Metodas came out for a little while, struggled with a shot. How tough a transition is that for them to go from playing primarily a European style play to coming over here to the U.S. and playing in college basketball?
I think the biggest transition, I mean, it's the same for high school kids, but the speed. You just have guys that just, they're bigger, they're faster, they're recovering quicker. I mean, you see them make moves out there, and then they're just a little bit too slow with their decisions. And it's not necessarily that they're making a bad move, but just things are moving pretty quick. Niels, I like though. I mean, his ability to shoot, and he's been relatively poised, comparatively speaking. So I think he's somebody that'll grow into, a threat for us, especially from the 3-point line, because we need it.
The most important question I have for you, Ben, I know you know the Johnson family well, and Darius and his dad. His brother, Xavier Johnson, is like tearing up college basketball. Why is this kid not a Knight? How did we not get him at UCF?
See, that's one I'm not even going to touch with. Just going to leave that one alone. I mean, he has been killing, though. I mean, we're in the group text. We're all going crazy. I mean, I don't know if anybody expected him to do what he's doing. I mean, we knew he was capable of a few, blowout games, but I think he's had about 3 30-point plus games back to back, starting against James Madison, and then just lastly doing it to Oklahoma State. So he's been on a tear, and we've been really in the group chat talking to Darius like, hey man, your turn.
And Darius dropping on social media that his grandfather turned 104 this week. That's pretty impressive.
Yes, it is. And pretty much every year they throw a parade for him in Oviedo. So if you're ever around next year, definitely stop by.
That is nice. That is nice. All right, what are you looking for Sunday, 4:00 at the arena? Ole Miss comes to town. What do you think keys to victory are for the Knights?
Well, it's going to sound like a cliche, but it's really just rebounding the ball, not turning it over, and really just guarding the 3-point line. If we can do those things, dominate on the glass, I think everything else will take care of itself. They're not a crazy offensive threat team from the 3-point line. So if we can guard that well, get the rebound against their 7-footers that they have coming, which is going to be tough. They're a guard heavy team. So if we can kind of contain those guards and clean it up on the glass, I think we'll have a chance.
All right, you heard it from Ben Hayes, a little bit of a scouting report of Ole Miss. Ben, welcome back to Suns Live. Again, congratulations to you and your family.
Thank you. And before I go, I got one last nugget. Shout out to the UCF women's team. They're 7-0. Coach Messer got them really playing well this year. If you guys have a chance, definitely check them out.
All right. Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
Were you able to watch the game on Wednesday, Adam? I know there were some technical issues with the stream, so I know you've been a bugaboo on the ability of these games to be televised to your convenience.
Yeah, there were some issues early on, and by the time my stream finally fixed, at least it wasn't me. I know I was talking to Elo, and he had the same issue, so I felt like at least my cable was good. It was just a solid performance, Trace. I mean, it was a solid from start to finish. They dominated JU, and JU has a decent record. I don't know what they play competition wise, but it's a nice bounce back. I think that's what you want to see, right? You take a tough loss. We all know it's a tough loss, and we do this all the time in football too. Like, how do you respond to the loss? Well, it's about as good as response as you can have coming off of a tough loss like that. Now, again, I know JU is not exactly going to be, a world beater style team, but it's a nice response. And you'd love to see the guys kind of hustling and playing together. And you can kind of sense a little bit of them figuring some stuff out now. And you sort of just hope that can carry on to Ole Miss and to future competition as we get to the Big 12.
That's right. All right. Time for some news and notes.
Yep, that's that sounder again, isn't it?
Corey Thornton, let's go around the kingdom.
Too soon. It's too soon.
Okay, my fault. That's my fault. That's my fault. I didn't know.
That's too soon.
Okay.
Ben mentioned the women's team 7-0. They beat Campbell 42-41. Let me tell you this real quick. I don't know if I mentioned to you when we were recording Around the Kingdom. I was uploading sound bites after the last game, or the last game, and then Campbell came out to warm up, and I'm sitting in a spot, and the ball flies through by my head, an errant basketball. I'm like, I got to move my seat. So I got to see Campbell miss some shots and nearly take off my head.
I didn't have you calling out Campbell, A, and B, you don't have handlers? We don't have someone there to protect you in those situations? We got to go up the budget on that. Wow.
No, it's pretty much just me in the arena and Campbell.
All right, I'm going to get Brian Debbie Peterson on that. He runs our books. Let's see what the budget looks like for handlers.
Up next, Monday, December 11th, New Orleans comes to town. 11 a.m. start for Kids Day. I imagine they have distributed tickets to every school within a vicinity there, Oviedo and East Orlando, to come out and see women's basketball on Kids Day at 11 a.m. at the arena.
They'll be there by the 10s.
You mentioned Eric Lopez. We mixed it up again on another new episode of Around the Kingdom that you'll find right now on the Sons of UCF YouTube channel. Here's a little preview.
I mean, Gus is not hiding the fact, hey, we need money to compete. That's what he said during the press conference. And obviously with the news of Corey Thornton leaving, you wonder if that was in his mind with certain players he can't get because they don't have enough. This is a polarizing topic, Trace, because I sympathize with both sides on this.
It's a polarizing. That's a good word. It's a good word choice from Eric Lopez. You can catch Around the Kingdom right now on the Sons of UCF. Don't, not right now. Give us 15 more minutes.
Yes. And then go. I know this show has been swimmingly well, but
no, we're
don't
good
leave
now.
just yet. Stay with us. We're hitting our stride.
We've studied this show. And now it's time to open the mailbag.
Well, what do we do? I mean, what graphic am I running? I know you sent me this new sounder. Is this the new sounder?
It's a new sounder. We got a new sounder here.
Okay, this is it?
You've got mail. You've got mail. You've got mail.
Okay. I didn't know how many times to play it. Okay.
Well, trying to have a clean slate with Brian. We had JP hop on last week, and then Brian with a surprise cameo, and it's just we've got mail.
Well, let me bring in Brian. No, I'm just kidding. Are we? Is it still the Brian? Can I? Is this still accurate? Can I put this up on the screen?
You just want to play it, so you just really want to play it, don't you?
I don't know. I just want to. I want to play. I will. I do want to. I mean, I do want to point out.
I'm just razzing Brian.
My God, that's Brian W. Peterson's music, friends. It is right there. I do at least want to play the Brian W. Peterson theme song.
I just don't want to confuse people. You are watching the Sons of UCF Live and not one of the other shows that Brian makes appearances on.
Welcome to do. Oh, Lauren has a great idea. Let's do this for next week, Trace.
Lauren, cut us an open. We need something from you, Lauren. We'll roll that.
Maybe this is our new thing. Brian, I love you to death, by the way. You're still our guy.
Brian, you're out of here.
But maybe our new thing is like every week a new friend of the Suns produces a mailbag in honor of Brian W. Peterson. Who can out Brian W. Peterson? Brian W. Peterson. I don't know.
We've had Robert do that before, and JP's had his own unique take on it. Lauren, I love it. Send in the video, and we'll include you. I am a little happy about the idea. I've embraced this idea. Let's get to the questions in the Daughters of UCF mailbag. That's got to roll off the tongue a little bit. I'm not ready for that.
That's not. Yeah, keep working on it.
At 1012 Network, our friends there, happier with Georgia Tech or Duke is the bowl opponent. How about that whole meltdown on Sunday with the announcement of Duke? And you can tell UCF, Coach Malzahn talked about it as well. They were part of that. They were waiting for the announcement. And I'd say Georgia Tech. I didn't want a rerun, and I know some people are looking for an easier win. I would prefer a quality win.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know we played Georgia Tech last season, right? And so either way, we were going to play a team we had played in the recent status, but we just played Duke in a bowl. It felt a little bit too duplicative. There are some crossovers with UCF and Brent Key and obviously George O'Leary that make this one a little bit more fun. But that was a wild scene, Trace, because it was out there. It was Duke and Brett McMurphy doesn't get these wrong all that often, and he was out there with it. And then other outlets picked it up, and we were all lamenting Duke, and then it became Georgia Tech. So one of those wild, situations that we'll all talk back about 10 years ago is, similar to the time Dino Babers was our head coach, and it's one of those. You remember the time we almost played Duke? So it'll be a fun memory for us diehards back in the day.
We've been talking a lot about the portal, but you mentioning Dino Babers. It'd be interesting to see if there are any coaching moves.
Well, that's the other thing.
If anybody goes on their own to an open
Yes.
job, or if Coach Malzahn makes a move. We haven't been talking about that as much.
Yeah, let's keep that in mind. Last year we lost Travis Williams rather late. I think it was near the Christmas time period, right? So with coach moves come decommits, come people leaving. If Gus can keep this staff together, either by his own volition or as other coaches now get in position, are they going to be calling around some of our guys? And don't forget, just because it's over now, the NFL cycle will come back at some point as well. So NFL jobs will open, and other names will be out there too. So this train is far from left the station at this point. So everybody stay tuned.
A new name in the mailbag at BLK Rican Gaming.
Welcome.
Do you think we can land a top 10 quarterback from the portal, which would be one Grayson McCall if that can come together?
Yeah, I don't know how you rank these, right? Like he's on that fringe of the top 10 list, right? I've seen him anywhere from 9 to 10, but I've seen him on some other lists, had him at like 18. Can we get a top 10 QB in terms of NIL ask? God, no. Can we get a top 10 QB in terms of production and experience? Maybe. And that may be Grayson McCall. We'll see if the cards fall in our favor on that one.
I asked you if you're embracing of this, but you said accepting. Do you accept that you might have a 1-year starter at quarterback? I mean, I guess the days of kid coming in and being with your program for 4 years, that's just not likely anymore, is it?
Yeah, I don't love it, right? Like I don't love the fact that like I'll root for this guy for a year and he'll be my favorite person in the world, and he'll be gone. But I mean, it's happened to UCF before. Brett Hodges is a name that comes to mind, right? And some guys come in and play and injuries and whatnot. So I don't love it. I love the fact that you get to root for these people and get to know them and spend 2, 3, 4 years kind of, have them part of your family, quote unquote. But it's a new era of college football. And if he wears black and gold and if he reps UCF well and he can be productive on the field, then I'll hang his jersey behind me here.
At Scott88513, if you guys could choose one quarterback in the portal to be starter next year, who would you choose? Again, what money do we have to be working with, and all of those questions. But I do like the McCall name. That's been a fun topic the last 24, 48 hours.
He's got a skill set, that very much fits what Gus wants to do. I've heard some people, and I kind of agree. He's got a little Mackenzie Milton-esque-ness about him. He's a bit bigger than Mackenzie, but Mackenzie had that innate ability when a play broke down, he could still make something happen. And the highlights you see of Grayson kind of has that same thing. I'm not saying he's going to be the same player as Mackenzie, and Mackenzie's obviously at a different length, but he's got a little bit of that same mentality. So he seems like a great fit in the offense for what we know from Gus and what I've seen on film from him. So that may honestly be the best fit, but I'd be lying to you if I told you I watched tape on all 1,872 players in the transfer portal to tell you who's a good fit for UCF.
And what did you send me? 105 quarterbacks
yeah.
at various levels or in the portal? Riley Carey 16 was asking, do you like McCall leading the UCF offense? I'll tell you what I like. A lot of touchdowns, very few interceptions. Doesn't turn the ball over. That's the stat that jumped out to me.
Yeah, he does until he doesn't, right? But yeah, look, I think, again, his experience, I think, is what's important, too. Like, he's played a lot of football. He's played a style of offense under Jamie Chadwell, who's now at Liberty. He's played a style of offense similar to Gus. So I like that ability to maybe recall what's been successful for him and get him in Gus's system. And he seems like he's a gamer, too, right? He's been hit a lot. He's been hurt a lot, which isn't great. But I think he's got a little bit of that toughness, that moxie that I think UCF fans will appreciate.
Can we go back to Liberty for a second?
Let's go.
Coach Gooch saying that if Liberty had not been selected for the bowl, that they were curable. That is a bit of a disparity in the financials between the bowl they got and the bowl.
Look, not my place to mention this, but the committee said the reason Liberty got the New Year's Six Bowl over SMU, who won the American Conference, was because, quote, Liberty just kept on winning. The reason Florida State didn't get in is because although they kept winning, we just didn't like the way they were winning. So a convenient way that worked out. SMU maybe has a valid argument just as much as Florida State about being robbed in this particular round of playoffs.
You mentioned the American news that AAC Commissioner Mike Oresco will be retiring after his long tenure leading the league. A lot of praise for him from network executives and national media. I know some of our fans say he did the best he could. I still don't think that during that 2017 season, the UCF's run there across 2018, that he was as vocal. I know he's got to balance the league. He got more vocal in subsequent years championing Cincinnati and the like, but I don't think he was as vocal as he could have been.
Yeah, I think in hindsight, I think he figured out in 17 he didn't do a great job, and that's why I think you saw him do that in latter years with Cincinnati and try to stump more. Even this year, he was out there egregiously upset about the SMU snub. I think he probably learned from that UCF stuff. I mean, he shepherded the conference, but it's hard to argue. Dolly Drama on X or Twitter, whatever you call it, if you follow him, he has an interesting tweet up. If you look at the map of the American Conference when Oresco took over and where the schools and the cities were to where it is now, there's no disputing that the conference has changed exponentially. And, while they got a decent TV deal out of the mix, the P6 stuff he tried, I think he did the best with what he could, but I just don't think he had the forethought to try to figure out a way to get this conference to where it needed to be. I think a Danny White type of visionary maybe was a better fit in that role. I think Oresko was too much of that old school, old crony. I've done this before. I think to get the American where he wanted it to be, you need to be a little bit more of a maverick, and I just don't think he ever had that in him. And to your point, played a little bit too political, and maybe that's why his tenure will not necessarily always be celebrated by fans of the American.
Yeah. At UCF, great question here. What's your best guess at Kingdom's total budget for retention, transfers, and high school recruits? And it's not a question we asked of SJ Tui, nor would he have answered it, but it is an interesting question to ponder, which kind of goes with at @blackgold_ed. Assume the Suns GMs have $3 million in NIL bankroll, and then I'll set up what he asked after that. But that's interesting. Is there $3 million at Kingdom? There's not $3 million at Kingdom. Is there $1 million at Kingdom? SJ said 100 plus 113 or so athletes, and you heard Matt Rule say a top quarterback is 1.5, 2 million. When we were asked earlier about a top 10 quarterback, if that's what those top 10 are going for, that's not the case. Million plus, but 2? I don't think so.
Yeah, I think you're in the neighborhood at $1 million. I think anything over that's probably a little bit optimistic.
So back on that question, say we got $3 million to be GMs. Who from the current roster are you protecting? What's your upper budget limit on keeping them? And what do you do with the remaining money, choosing between the portal and high school recruits? By the way, that job, if we were ever qualified for that job, I wouldn't be interested in that job at all. That retaining all these people and managing that budget, no fair, no fun.
Yeah, I played the fifth on this. Right. I would always, side towards keeping and finding the big people, right? Find me the offensive line, find me the defensive line, and let's retain those guys who've got that size and that talent. If I've got money to spend, certainly linebacker is the spot I'm probably going as well. I think RJ Harvey another year would be fantastic. I would love to keep him and Javon and Kobe as well. So I dedicate some money to them, but that's such it's a monopoly money question. And I want everyone to get as much as they want, but I also wouldn't want to be in the position of the person who's deciding what they're worth, because that just feels like it's a no fun kind of job.
In your current capacity at work, do you have people that report to you that
I do.
You supervise? And so, as do I. And I thought about this question in terms of that. You look at your roster, and if you had to cut one off your roster, you know who that is, right? And if you had to you got to keep one. You know who that person is, your most valuable player. And so I imagine that they're looking at it like that, having conversations. Some of these guys they want more reps. It's not an NIL play. Maybe McDonald wants more opportunity to play the game he loves, and doesn't see that opportunity with RJ Hart in front of him. So what is he?
Look, every corporation you work for always sorry. I don't know what that means, Robert. Every corporation you work for that has required me to have my rack and stack of my team, and basically you have to have a bottom person, right? But I'll also tell you that there's something, and without revealing too much, I have two people in a similar role, same job description, same job title. One had more experience than the other. One makes a little bit more than the other. And I worry about the one who's making less, because he's really good. And I know at some point he's going to realize he makes less. And that's a lot of the NIL stuff. At some point he's going to come to me like, hey, I think I'm being underpaid here. And budgets are budgets, right? So I think it's a real world problem. It just feels weird in college sports because it's something we have to get used to.
At Where T Now, if you could, would you welcome Dylan Gabriel back with open arms? No. I don't think.
Well, look,
I think we'll see guys. Quadri Jones, right? He left and came. Was it Quadri that left?
I don't think did he leave? I mean, he officially. I don't know if he signed.
He took pictures in another school's uniform.
I mean, who among us, Trace? Look, if Dylan Gabriel called us and said, "Hi, Gus, it's me, Dylan. How are things? Thanksgiving good? How's the family? By the way, I'd love to come back and play at UCF. I don't care about money. I just want to be back around people I love in a city I love. Take me back." I would tell Gus to do it. Now, if Gus called him and said, "Hi, Dylan, it's Gus. How was Thanksgiving? How's the family? Nice tattoos," I wouldn't want him to do. But if Dylan called us and said, "Hey, I want to come back and I'm willing to do this," I think you consider it, because like him or not, he's a good quarterback. I mean, he can throw the football down the field. He won games, maybe not always the big ones, although Texas. But if he wanted to come back and he had the outreach and he had a little bit of humbleness about him, welcome back to the team. Put the number 11 on and wear your socks at.
Just can't. I'm not there.
Wow, dead to you.
And Vincent _
Now,
Vulture.
there are some players who are dead to me that I would not take back. Look at you, Matt Lee. But outside of that, everybody else, I think I'd be willing to take back.
That's an interesting. If he wanted to come back, could use him.
So that's a.
Could use him at center. That sounds like a UCF Mike top 5 list. At Vincent _ Vulture, given JRP's success, especially as the season went on and he was healthy, can we say Darren Hinshaw's a solid quarterback coach that can help with progressing a quarterback? I'd say a one season snapshot at UCF. Yes, I think we need to see more over time before you can make a clear determination of that.
Yeah, I'm optimistic that he has that skill set. I mean, he talked a lot about it. You did see some change in JRP, so he played the position. He's been around, so I'm optimistic that he's all we think he is from a technical standpoint.
Michael, emptiness 4 with Jordan McDonald transferring out. Is it possible, sign we're getting one more year of RB1, QB4, RJ Harvey? I think I think Jordan McDonald wants playing time. I don't think that's any secret about that. And I think you mentioned it. How many days left until players can transfer out of the portal?
I think it's 24.
And if RJ's debating what he wants to do with his future, I don't think it's a done deal. I think they're unrelated. I think.
I don't think they're linked. I don't think they're linked at all. I think Jordan McDonald wants to have the football in his hands. That's an odd one. Yeah, Mario.
Raider and Schneider.
Sorry to hear that. I think he wants the football. I don't think those two are interconnected because UCF has a bunch of running backs coming in future classes. So I don't think that's interconnected.
At Scott M. Star, your opinion on Charlie Baker's letter on pay for play. I don't know how much anyone has paid attention to that, but that just intensifies the divide between schools that can invest money to retain players and those that won't have the resources. That's all that's going to do. And maybe it's going to happen anyway.
It's still so crazy to me, Trace, that a lot of this started because college athletes, rightfully so, looked around and said, everybody's making money but us. Look at these TV contracts, look at these coach contracts. And, Big Ten's getting $1 billion to put their games on TV. And they were like, hey, wow, we don't get that. And the NCAA was like, you know what, fine, you can get paid. But you can't have that money. Go find your own. That's the biggest shell game going that I just don't. And
you don't get any of the TV money.
You don't get any of that. You can't have any of that. And I know Baker talked about, Title IX and how do you divvy that up. But I think that's the biggest shell game going is there's a bucket of money available as opposed to saying, hey, let's find a way to get these kids in on that money. It's like, no, fine, get paid, but go find your own. I think that's not a sustainable model.
A frequent viewer of Suns programming, Brian W. Peterson, asked,
heard of him, yeah.
Thoughts on FSU being left out of the CFP? Fair, entertaining, funny, not surprised, don't care. I felt a lot of those things. My sister and brother-in-law went to Florida State. So, my sister, how can this be? I'm like, I don't remember you in 2017, 2018 saying anything about UCF, which she acknowledged, by the way. They got screwed. I'm not finding glee in it. I just think that the people that are defending them certainly weren't defending UCF.
Yeah, it's not fair. I mean, they absolutely had an opportunity to be there, but I'm not grabbing a pitchfork and starting a campaign anytime soon.
At Golden Knight _ the second, good one here. Well, when you were a student at UCF, who was your favorite non-UCF college player that you enjoyed watching?
I had to think about this one. There are two that came to mind in that time era. One was Michael Vick at Virginia Tech because he was just doing some incredible stuff athletically, had a cannon for an arm, and just kind of came out of nowhere and was a fantastic player. The other one, this may be a little bit deep cut for people. You just mentioned Florida State, was Peter Warwick. He was a really electric return man for Florida State, a good receiver for Florida State. I never really liked Florida State back in those days. I don't really love him now either. But Peter Warwick was always electric as well. So I'm going to go Mike Vick, Peter Warwick back on that time frame.
I don't remember paying as much attention to particular athletes as, say, teams. So I did Google around a little bit on that question. And then I remember that I enjoyed watching Ty Detmer. He won a Heisman, BYU, and was very prolific as quarterback. So his was a name that popped in the early 90s. But actually, I just remember watching games rather than saying particular players.
Fun fact, as a kid, my favorite player growing up, and so he played for UM, and then he went to the Dallas Cowboys, which is my favorite football team. And as a Ute, I sent a letter to the Dallas Cowboys office, and this person sent me back his signed autograph picture was former UM and Dallas Cowboy quarterback Steve Walsh. It's a deep cut. I still have it somewhere around my house here, but when I was much younger before UCF, Steve Walsh was a player I liked a lot.
You know, when we've asked for bowl memories, and again, a reminder, once that drops on social media, send those in and we'll pick people for the Cure Bowl tickets. But do you ever hear of people writing players at the college level like you did there? I don't ever see posts.
I don't even know if that's a thing anymore, right?
It seems like, by the way,
like, I don't even know.
Yeah, there's the DM and there's the tagging them in on Twitter, good, bad, or ugly. I think if you just wrote a letter to Johnny Richardson and said, "I really like you, man," maybe he'd write you back.
Right. Can I get somebody out there in Suns Army to write a letter to Johnny Richardson and just keep us updated on what you get back in return?
Dear RJ, I'd like you to stay. Signed, Lauren, the new host of Daughters of UCF
Golly,
Mailbag.
DMs don't count. I need a postcard.
No DMs. No postcards, letters, stamps. Write these things out.
How much is a stamp these days? Do you know? I haven't bought a stamp in God knows how long.
I have a bunch of those forever stamps. I think it's 60 cents, but that's
wow.
I think it's 60 cents now for a stamp.
Jeez.
I'll end with this. My nephew, when I last saw him, he needed to send his roommate something there on the break. He needed something to send from the apartment, and he had the stuff in the box. And he said, "Can you help me? How do I mail this?" I go, "Well, what do you mean? How do you mail it? He goes, "Well, where do I put where it goes?" He didn't know how to mail a box. He's a junior at the University of Colorado Boulder studying business, doesn't know how to mail a box to his roommate.
66 cents, according to Eric.
Is it 66?
Good research.
66 cents.
I have no reason to doubt him, by the way, because I haven't bought a stamp in I don't know how long. And they're going up 2 cents. What? January? They're going up. This is a travesty.
Anybody in the Suns universe, send off a letter. I'm telling you. And then who would send a letter back? Colton Boomer would write back. Right?
Yeah.
He would write back.
Well, does it even get to the player these days? Like with protocol and stuff? Like, does that even get to the player?
I imagine that falls under Jimmy Skiles in some regard. Jimmy, there's mail.
Can you hand deliver a trace? I mean, you're there enough. Can you hand deliver something?
Well, I suppose I could. Imagine that.
That defeats the purpose, though. That defeats the purpose.
John Rice Plumlee walks off the podium. I go, "Hey, here's a letter."
Mario says hi.
Yeah, Mario, right back soon. By the way, he raised more than $5,000 during his recent stint.
Listen, that guy is he's so freaking good at everything he does. It's unbelievable.
And interestingly enough, the Hula Bowl announced that he had accepted an invite, but then pulled down that tweet. So is he playing in the Hula Bowl on the UCF campus in January or not? Is it a secret? Is it secret?
Maybe some targeted marketing needs to happen there.
Gotcha. Want to thank Alan Gooch for hopping on his telephone after sign language practice from 8:10 to 8:17. We thank Alan for that, CEO of the Cure Bowl, UCF Athletics Hall of Famer. And thanks to him in the Cure Bowl from, what is it now? What's the sponsorship? By the way, I like how
Avocados for Mexico.
He was coy about that. What do you think? Guacamole bath? Is it stealing the Mayo people's thunder? But they're one of the first bowls on Saturday the 16th.
I mean, we can all agree. Guacamole way better than mayo. Yes, I would rather be doused in guacamole. You give me some Tostitos chips, and at least I can have a snack. What am I doing with mayo on me? I'm doing nothing.
You're not dipping the Tostitos in the mayo.
No, I mean, if it's on my hat, I'm just like, you know what, I need a snack anyway. So I think a guacamole way outweighs mayo. They have a chance to do something better than the Mayo Bowl. The Mayo is just disgusting. Guacamole has a much, much better purpose there. I think, look, Emptiness agrees. Robert agrees. These are my allies right here. So I will take John Oliver. He agrees. These are my allies. I'll take it.
And thanks to Ben Hazel for talking a little hoops with us. Again, congratulations to Ben and his family on their new edition. Check out Around the Kingdom right now on the Sons of UCF YouTube channel and wherever you get your downloadable content, the Sons Pod with UCF Mike and Adam. Adam, thank you for pushing all the buttons and helping us bring this show to everyone. For Adam Eaton, I'm Trey Strelko. Go Knights!
Charge on. Here's more Corey Thornton.
I'm Dante Culpepper. Thanks for watching the Sons of UCF.
Just kidding. But imagine what that guy would have clened up in NAL. My goodness. He would not have stayed 4 years. He wouldn't have stayed 4 years at UCF in NIL, right?
No, not at all. A lot of the guys we like wouldn't have stayed.
That's a bummer.